Okay, well, hello. My name is Professor Darcy Schultz, and I am the English department course lead, which means that I work with curriculum and I lead and mentor the faculty and make sure that everything's going well for our students. And one of my roles in that is doing a formal run through of each English class for all the students that want to come during week one and get a clearer understanding of what they're going to be doing. So I think that you'll find this really helpful. It might answer some questions that you already have, and you'll have time to ask me questions when we're done too. Oops. Okay, this may seem silly to some people, but honestly, and man, I have been on pins and needles the last couple days. I don't know if it's from that we had a break this time between terms and then coming back on Monday, or the fact that on Monday here in Nebraska on May 2nd, it snowed all day. I'm just, you know, I need to recenter really bad. And I keep telling myself that all day, every day. So, for you guys, I know that coming into a college class like English 147, it can be stressful to some degree. I'm sure, all students have some stress when they come into any class. I did. But with writing and research and argument and all that, you can really get overwhelmed. So, first of all, just kind of slow down. Understand that you're not going to be doing everything at once. Everything happens in slow, careful steps. So just do what you have to do the first week and the second week, and by the time you're at the end, you'll have your essay written. And then understand that you're not expected to be here or come to any class already knowing everything or anything. You're here to learn. So don't feel discouraged or bad or frustrated if you meet up with assignments and ideas that are unfamiliar, new to you, that are hard for you to do. If you already knew how to do these things, well, you wouldn't need to be here. So just keep a calm growth mindset and understand that you're going to understand it, and your teacher's always there to help you. And so you are here to learn what you don't know about the class subject area. And in other areas, some of you may be very familiar with, some of you may be new to, like navigating a Canvas classroom. So you'll learn that through practice while you're in the class, but I'm also going to give you a little head start on that. I just want you to advise to myself too, now and every day, relax, ask questions, and try to have fun and enjoy what you're doing. It might be hard, but try to see it as the kind of mentally stimulating stuff that's going to help you grow and have new perspectives. Okay, so here's the big question. What am I actually going to do here? So you are going to write one essay, and you're going to start thinking about it in weeks one. Two, you're going to build some materials for it. Three, more for throughout the weeks. And by the end, you'll have one well balanced, logically solid, well supported argument research essay. And in order to do that, you're going to study strong argument methods and weak argument methods. You're also going to practice APA, citation, referencing, and formatting. We have all those things in the Writing Center, exact perfect examples, and I'll take you there later. And then you're also going to have some grammar skills self-checks that aren't required, but that if you take one and don't do the greatest, they give you a little mini lesson that they don't impact your grade. But every single week will have like a grammar mini lesson, a grammar self-check ungraded to kind of help you see, am I doing okay in this grammar area? And maybe I need to, read a little bit more about it and go through the self-check again. Which I find nice because it's kind of like as needed. You can use it if you want to, and if you don't feel like you need to, although I would take the self check because you might think, I don't need any help with this. And then you take the self check and realize you do. So it's just a helpful thing, and it's so quick and easy. Then you're going to follow all of the steps carefully from weeks 1 through 7 and to generate ideas and plan and draft your essay while practicing good argument techniques and scholarly research. This class, I think, the biggest leap in what you may have experienced before into the new is going to be understanding argument well, because argument is a complicated beast, right? And hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and turn the slide so you guys can read this while I have a distraction real quick. So you guys can go ahead and read that through that, what you're going to do in the first 4 weeks. Be right back. Well, my little tiny granddaughter just brought me a Mother's Day gift, surprisingly. She doesn't even live in my town, so I apologize for that. Um, so hopefully you've had a chance to look through these. And weeks 1 and 2, you're going to be creating your topic and then starting research. So many of you have, I'm sure all of you have done research. The thing about this class is that you're going to be required to do scholarly research, and it's going to be in our library. And so I'll kind of show you some of that too. That's okay. That's more objective, right? You can learn how to do that and then you can do it. Argument is a little bit more subjective, where you kind of have to learn how to prove a point, how to support it, how to use critical thinking, how to not use logical fallacies and all that. So those are going to be, probably the things that you'll need to work the hardest on, unless you may already understand argument well. Week 3, you'll get a chance to really cute. Augie's fault. I love you, baby. Have a good day. You don't have to, no. Um, Week 3, you're going to get a chance to get a whole bunch of sources together and to write up little evaluations for them. And I find that week 3 is really a good one, and it'll be here quicker than you think. Obviously, we're approaching week 2 already. So I would just say to, try to get a head start on scholarly research, but only once you know how to do scholarly research in the library. And then you're going to have a bunch of sources in week 3 that you'll have to kind of talk about. And that week 3 is good because not only do you have your sources, you have your supporting and opposing sources, and then you also have to write about what the sources do and how they might work for you. So I find that in week 3 is when you really get started kind of planning your essay, because you have these sources and you're talking about where you're going to use them. Week 4 is where you're going to understand logical fallacies. We see them all the time. Facebook is one big one. People often compare one thing to another that shouldn't, logically doesn't compare. Or instead of addressing the direct issue, they might say, yeah, but what about, instead of addressing the straight issue. And I think today more than ever, it's important to understand what good logic is and what faulty logic is. And then the final 4 weeks, you will start writing actual paragraphs for your essay, guided by your own voice, using your sources, integrated smoothly and logically, and you're going to write your first draft. In the classroom, there are examples of full body paragraphs for argument research papers, example of a full introduction, a full conclusion. So you have everything that you need. And my best piece of advice is to just read everything in the classroom in the lessons. And then when you're doing your assignments, go back and have those parts of the lessons open so that you really can emulate the examples there and understand better. I went off a share. There. So I want to do screen. Week 6, you're going to do some peer reviews with your drafts. Week 7, you're going to submit your final draft. And week 8, you're just going to kind of have some fun and look at the bigger picture and your future and all that. So week 8 is going to be really low stress. You have some stuff that you have to do to turn in, but it's more going to be like, what are you going to read and how is it going to impact you in the future? Really, once you finish week 7, you've accomplished the major objectives of the class. Okay, some stuff to expect. You are now on Wednesday of week 1, and all posts need to be made by Sunday every week to not be considered late. However, you are strongly encouraged to post early in the week. For example, this week you're talking about possible approaches to your essay, and it really benefits you to get in there and get that main discussion post done so that you can have some conversation around it, look at what other people are posting, see if that helps you. And then I recommend going into the discussion board every day if you can, starting Monday to see what your professor and classmates have posted, because often your professor will post resources and helpers there too. So it doesn't take very long, just pop in even if you're not feeling like posting that day or don't have anything to post. Read through, and it'll often help you if you haven't gotten your main post up yet. It'll often, give you the information you need to get started and get that done. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that your instructors are directed to reach out to you very often if you are gone for a few days or if you haven't turned something in. And so I just don't want you to feel like if your instructor does contact you during the week to encourage discussion posting, even if you're not late, your instructor might write to the class an email or something and say, hey, everyone, it's Wednesday, or just even to you, it's Wednesday. I know it's not due till Sunday, just seeing that you haven't posted and want to see if you have any questions. So don't take offense to those things. These are just our way of caring and making sure that students haven't gotten discouraged and are, maybe don't know how to do the assignment and are afraid to ask for help. So you will from time to time, and even to congratulate you on your progress, you'll get good things from your instructor too. So you'll have a lot of contact with him or her. I should say with them. Okay. Some policies again. Plagiarism is very tricky in a research class. First of all, we often see students copying discussions from other classmates or waiting until Sunday to post and then piecing together stuff that other people have posted and rearranging it. That's one big thing we see. Instructors notice that. The students who have part of their stuff taken and used, they notice it and tell instructors. And an instructor can always take, if they have, a worry, they can take a discussion post and run it through Turnitin themselves. And copying on the discussion board is just a serious plagiarism offense as turning in a copied paper. So just keep that in mind. Then, using sources without full and proper use of quotation or paraphrase and full and proper citation and referencing is also plagiarism. However, you will learn how to do that from day one. So basically, don't get lazy and try to paraphrase, but just change a couple words. You're going to learn how to really paraphrase. And if you're using exact words, use quotation marks around them, that kind of thing. And then also obtaining any part of any assignment you submit from another person or a website. Like, don't go to a website to get your essay or parts of your essay. Okay, now I always ask instructors what they wish students would do, um, because instructors do feel really bad when students don't succeed. We want you to succeed more than anything. So I ask professors, what do you wish students would do because you know it would help them do better? And what I kind of pulled together from those conversations is that, and I agree because I'm a teacher here too, daily, just look for new announcements and new discussion posts because you miss a lot if you just kind of ignore the stuff that's being posted, or if you come in like twice a week but don't really read everything. That's what I see mostly, is students being confused about something that an instructor took the time to make a video about and to give an example of and to give a template for, and the student just hasn't even looked at any of that stuff and comes to the instructor and says, I need some help with this. Just make sure that you are looking at everything, and then if you still have questions for sure. But these are so valuable. You will have, students who actually use the resources, read the um, announcements, read what instructors post in discussion, usually do a whole letter grade higher than students who don't. So keep that in mind. And then every week, early in the week and going back throughout the week, read all the pages and all the lessons in the module for the week. In each week's lesson, you are prepared exactly for what you're doing and being graded for. The textbook pages are to teach you the subject matter. The lessons are to, yes, teach you the subject matter in a more condensed form, but also to prepare you for your assignment, your discussion, all that. So make sure that you read the lesson early in the week and then go back and look at it when you're doing your work too. And then just, look at everything in each module. Understand that scholarly sources are a requirement and you must use our library. Scholarly sources aren't required as one kind of source. Scholarly sources are the only kind of source that you will use in this class from the library. And then just with each step, really take your time, use all those resources available. Like I said, your instructor, student resource center, writing center, suggested readings in the modules and whatnot. Okay. At this point, I want to take you all into the classroom so I can let you see more specifically some of the things I've been talking about. So once you're in your classroom, if you're not terribly familiar with, and this is another instructor's classroom, if you're not terribly familiar with Canvas, the one thing that you can always go to if you get lost is modules. That's where everything lives. All the discussions, all the assignments, all the lessons, everything like that. So you can always go back to modules. And I always kind of use the phrase magic modules in case you're a newbie and you get lost. So modules is where the whole class, the whole course is. Yes, you can go to different ways to get to, some of these things, like go to assignments and find your assignment, but I like to get to everything from here because there's a context and it makes sense. So the first thing that you need to do is take the attestation if you haven't, and that just says, I am who I say I am. Excuse me. And then don't skip, the course introduction. That's important. It gives you all the information, best practices, things like that. A lot of what I've been saying. This is all pre-week one stuff. Obviously, most of you will be looking at it in week one, but it's not in week one itself. Your question and answer discussion forum is right here in the getting started stuff. So if you want to ask your professor a question in a public discussion forum, you can do that. Or of course, you can always write them privately. This is where you get your book. Well, you have to go to the bookstore to get your book. There's an announcement about that in your classroom. And then once you get your book, this is where you click on it and get into it and access it online. Okay, when you get into your modules then, remember I told you that there are going to be self-checks and mini lessons for grammar topics. You're always going to want to read the weekly introduction and the lesson. And this is the important stuff that's going to help you do well this week. In week one, you have an introductory discussion that's not graded, but it's where you introduce yourself to the class. You have the required discussion where you explore a topic and viewpoints based on the course theme, which your instructor will have posted in an announcement. And then your assignment for week 1 is going to be a little essay topic and proposal. And that's a worksheet that you just fill in. So it's pretty straightforward. There's a worksheet you use and there's an example of it as well. But one thing I want to show you while we're here is that if you don't want to get lost, and many of you may already know this, but if you don't want to get lost and lose the script, which is can be kind of easy to do, some of you are probably already nodding your heads, I just open everything in a new tab because that way I don't have to be like, wait, where was I? Because it can get very confusing. So if you look at the week 1 introduction, you'll see that the full essay guidelines for the whole essay are here. Also in the weekly introductions is where you find your reading assignments and your other assignments and when they're due. This is really important. Even though you aren't doing a whole lot on it this week, this tells you what you're going to be doing and when. So here's, when your essay draft is due and when the final draft is due, here's the full assignment for the essay, and then here are the building steps, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 5, 6, 7. So you can get the bigger picture, and even though you're not writing all of this right now, it's a good idea while you're doing your other building steps to have this full essay assignment in mind, because then what you do in your building steps will be a lot more relevant, right? You're working towards something and you know what that something is. So I would, maybe print this out or at least go back to it. And it's in week 1 introduction. Okay, I still have my modules page there, so I'm not lost. I'll just close this if I'm done with it. And then the lessons, you do want to go through those carefully because they address a lot of the things that you're going to be doing like this. And then you get little self checks like, is this a good or not a good argument research? Not a good argument research thesis. So, go through those, check yourself, go through them as many times as you want. And then all of this stuff is aimed at you doing your assignment well. So don't forget the lessons. Don't skip over them. Don't skim them. Hold on to them. Don't just read them once. Use them when you're doing your other work that week. And every other week will be the same. You'll have your self-checks, your weekly introduction and lesson, really important, and then what you actually have to do, which is usually your discussion and your assignment. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to look at is resources. That opens in a new tab for you nicely so you don't get lost. And in resources, we have a lot of different stuff, program related stuff, but also stuff for, students who are in gen ed classes. So we're going to be looking at gen ed because that's where the writing center and stuff is. But if you feel like it, go ahead and look at whatever program you are and spend some time, looking at support for you. Not necessarily relevant to this class, but it's a cool place that you can go for your own program. We use the gen ed because we are a general education class, and there are English as a second language resources, which is really nice. We have the writing center, open it like that. We have the library, open it like that. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Just go ahead and, click around. Come on. This thing drives me nuts. Okay, I guess I'll go to the library since it's letting me see that. Nope, I'm going to go to Writing Center. Okay, so this is really nice. This has everything you need to know about every topic, and it is all going to be usable for you. Under writing patterns, there is a whole bunch of stuff about writing a good argument. Under the writing process, there's a whole bunch of stuff about planning and drafting. APA formatting is going to be really important. That's where you're going to get all of your examples of citations and references and formatting your paper. If you need more help with a grammar topic, there it is. using sources, which is different from APA because this means how you use sources to make your points ideologically versus the mechanical use of sources, transitions and flow and all that. So it's a really good place to go. And it's really nice because you can search up here. And let's say that you're just looking at something like, oh, my instructor says that I really need to use more transitions. So instead of trying to find all the places that transitions are addressed in the Writing Center, if you just put it up there, it'll show you all of the pages and see it's addressed in a lot of different of the categories in the Writing Center. So you can find everywhere transitions is mentioned, and you can see they have a whole transitions area, which is good, but they also talk about transitions in other places. Okay, now I'm going to go to the library, and you all are going to have to do scholarly library research. And in your week 2 discussion, there is a little video. You might recognize the voice on the video, but it teaches you how to do scholarly research. So I'm it's best to use the main search bar because if you try to go into databases, you're limiting yourself. The main search bar searches all the databases for you. So that takes care of that problem. But I might do something like education and poverty and United States. And so that's 618,000 results. But I also know that your assignment limits you, and I don't remember exactly what the year is, but I'm going to put 2019 in here. And that takes you from 600 and some thousand down to 100,000. And then you want to peer-reviewed journals. That makes them scholarly. Now you know that these are all scholarly. And that cuts it in half to 55. So from there, some things you might want to do is, okay, I have so many, maybe I can afford to go to just 2020 and have all the sources be more current. So we're at 55,000. Apply. Taking 1 year off brought us down to 38. And now we can go to resource type. We don't want newspapers. We don't want reviews. We really want articles. And clearly most of them were articles. We definitely want English, which doesn't cut it down a lot, but it'll stop you from running into languages you don't understand. And to me, that it just kind of gets in the way because it looks good. And then you get down into here and you realize that it's in a different language. Then what I like to use is subject matter. This is a great way to narrow it down, and it even shows you how many results there are for each. So let's say that what I'm looking at is impact on children. I don't want higher education. I don't want to look specifically at COVID. I'm just concerned with children and poverty and education. And that takes me down to 3,000. And then, there are other things I could do. I could add to this by doing an advanced search. I could add a field like maybe add the South. Probably have to redo some filters when I do that, but yeah, I'm going to have to go back in here and do this. Articles. Just don't be afraid to play around with search words too. Well, now we've lost our children. We might have to go back in and put children. We have 22,000. Add a new line. And make this one be subject. If you don't select a field, it's going to be anywhere in the article those words show up. So you can manipulate, like if you're searching for a specific title, etc. And then just really quickly going to go back to, I'll go 2019 since it's shorter here. And once you've used subjects and things like that to narrow the results, you can start looking through stuff that looks like it's related to what you're trying to do, or you can go back and narrow even further by subject. Like if you're looking at poverty, you're going to get a nice little 717 that you can flip through, etc. So that's a nice, easy way. And just remember that the library, and I go through this because many, many people just come in not knowing how, but remember it's in this resources in your classroom. You got to go to resources, then gen ed, then library. Start searching, make sure they're peer reviewed, narrow the year to what you're allowed, and use subjects and other keywords to, get you closer to what you need. You'll probably find that you have way more rather than too few, which a lot of students come up and say, I just can't find anything, and I'll say, oh, look at this, 650,000, so try out a lot of different words, mess around, do what, anything that comes to mind. Use your creativity in searching. If I would have been writing a paper on that topic, I could have chosen so many other ones like unemployed parents, right? Or rural schools, underfunded, things like that. Okay, let's go ahead and go back here and some final notes. This is another thing that I think helps people not freak out is the fact that if you're in other classes like nursing classes, you have to get a lot higher grade to pass than you do in general ed classes. So if you find yourself thinking you're failing because you have like an 88 on one assignment, just keep in mind that in our scale, you only need 60% to pass the class. So that's a lot of leeway. Don't freak out if you have a few assignments that you maybe just kind of missed the bird on and got like a 75. If you turn stuff in, there's no way for you to not pass the class. The only way students ever fail this class is not submitting stuff. So do your best job on every assignment and you'll be surprised. We also have a lot more forgiving rubrics, grading rubrics in Gen Ed. So turning something in and doing each part well and conscientiously, showing that you care about it, you're very unlikely to get anything less than a B, let alone maybe an A. If you do all the discussions, do all of the homework, and you really show that you cared and are doing your best. So again, don't feel like after weeks 1 and 2, like, oh no, I got to leave this class. I have an 85. That's not the case at all. Stick in there, you'll get through it. You might have some tougher weeks where the assignments are a little bit more headachy than others, but as long as you do them and stick with it, you'll do fine and you'll pass and do just great. Okay, the recording will be placed in your classroom, and I do encourage you all to review it as often as needed. And then I hope you all have a great session as we move closer to summer. But before we stop, I do want to see, I think maybe you're all automatically on mute, so you might have to unmute yourself if you have a question. But I did want to see if you had any questions. I'll also open up the chat. You're welcome, Lakeisha. Thank you. Feel free to type in the chat or to speak questions. It depends on your teacher, Gwen. It's not a requirement for instructors, but a lot of instructors do a weekly WebEx. They do have to have, I think, 1 office hour per week per class. That is a requirement. But how they hold that office hour, a lot of them do it in WebEx, so you can see them live there, or that's during the time when you can email them and get a straight email right back. But I know a lot of instructors prefer to have a WebEx every week, or at least to make a short little recording like the one I did without students there and then hand it to you. Would we be able to show essays to professors for proofreadings? Um, no, we don't really do that because it's a little bit of an unfair process. It's kind of like you getting to submit twice when everybody else doesn't get that chance. But there's two things here that'll help you with that. Um, Thanks, Cyan. One thing is that you build up so gradually with your assignments that by the time you have written your essay, you will have already worked with the parts of it, right? And built it. So you're not going to be have you're not going to miss the mark hugely or something like that on any of the assignments because you have examples, you have building on parts. The other part of that is if you want proofreading for grammar, and I should start putting this in all of mine, all of these meet and greets, and I'm not promoting it for any reason at all. Pet Hit is wonderful. I have a free Grammarly.com account, and they make it really easy once you make an account to still for free, all for free, add an extension to your Word document, well, into your all of your Office stuff in one fell swoop, and then also to your browsers. So everything I type in a browser, in a discussion, in a Word document for an assignment or something like that, yeah, no problem. I would really recommend everyone get a free Grammarly.com account. It will never cost you a thing. Just don't think you need to upgrade because you don't. Let me see. I should show you how it works a little bit. First of all, I'm going to share again. That's first of all. And my screen. And so I have it in here. So I'm going to go into a discussion that nobody's posted in yet for this class except for the instructor, because the instructor always makes an opening post there. Okay, so let's say that I'm going to start typing. Already there's my little Grammarly symbol down here. It shows me that it's going to work. Of course, Gwen, it's my pleasure. Um, so now haha, and you all are so, so great. The best. The beast. The best. Okay, so now you can see that Grammarly is working away. And not only is it working away and telling me my problems, it immediately, right? And that's all I got to do. And if I'm confused, like, why are they telling me to change I to a capital? I can go to this and learn more. And look, it teaches me why it was wrong. So, any grammar error that you might have in a paper or in the discussion board, if you have Grammarly extension added to your browser, it will point it out right away and it will teach you. And then you can go to, no, you don't want to go to that. You don't need the advanced. Go to a Word document. Okay, here's where the Grammarly little icon is in Word. And it'll run through everything and you can accept or dismiss, or you can, see more information like here. Gosh, you. Now it's not letting me hover because I opened this up. I'll accept that change. I'll accept that change. I'll accept that change. And as you can see, it doesn't address absolutely. Okay. This is the paper that I'm writing for you, instructor. I'm so happy. And what happens is once you start making those Grammarly changes, then others will pop up. So, I mean, it's just common sense to write out the word you, right? But usually you'll have more. It will show. I'll put a period so they know that I think it's a sentence, and maybe that'll do something. Usually it shows more. Like it would not let me do a run-on sentence, but of course when I'm trying to demonstrate. So as you can see, that does help quite a bit. And then if you don't want to install Grammarly, you can just go with your free account and you can upload a paper of yours and it will run through it. Chris, every time I go to the library, the resources tab you showed us, it says error, app not assigned. Okay, that would be a tech support thing. Um, because all students should be able to, as long as you're logged into your class, you should be able to get to the library. Huh. Well,
Professor, while you're there, can I ask a question, please?
yes, yes,
Now, this is where you will go to post your discussion, right?
yes. And this,
Can
I
you,
mean,
because I'm having a little difficulty doing that. Can you restart and show me how to do it, please? And this has
yes.
to be done twice during the week?
You make your main post and you have to reply to someone. So, in week one, yes, that's what I was going to say. Use the library guides tab and there'll be a link directly to the library in that area because there are library guides for this class, 3 of them, and one of them actually shows you how to search for the current theme. She changes it. The librarian's awesome. So there's one for the current theme and I'll show you in a second. Okay, Rachel. Um, Down here, the discussions, the introductory discussion is where you introduce yourself and you can participate or not in that if you know, it's up to you. But every week there's a graded discussion. Week one, there's just an extra one of you getting to know people. So I'm going to go into one again that doesn't have student names in it. Let's imagine that this is week one discussion. And so what you do is you read everything. And for your main post, it will tell you everything you have to do. For this one, you have to write 2 paragraphs answering these questions. And so you make your main post by Sunday, technically, but it's really detrimental to your success if you don't make your main post earlier in the week and have a chance to, work with it. And then once you've made your main post, you come back on another day because you also lose points if you don't post on 2 days, which is another reason to not wait till Sunday to post. And they'll tell you not just that you have to reply to a classmate, but what you should be doing in your reply. So you have one main post that you have to make and one reply. And when you go to make your main post, you just go right here, make your main post. And then after you've done your 2 paragraphs here, and if you don't have Grammarly installed on your browser, I recommend writing up your discussion posts on a Word document and using the spell checker that's embedded in Word already, just to get it looking nice, and then paste it in here. And so you post that, and then let's pretend that this instructor was another student, and this is their main post. Right down here, you can reply to them and say, "Hey, Joe, I really," etc. And I have it in all caps, obviously. I don't know why. And so then here that's where you'd make your reply follow-up post, and you'd want to address everything that it says. And every week we'll have a discussion like that where there's a required main post and a required reply post, and your instructor will always have an opening post to kind of help you get started. We can at least go to week one discussion without me scrolling down into where people have posted. Oops, that's introductions. So it tells you what pages you need to read to be successful. It links you to possible resources you might need. And then your main post for the week one required graded discussion is just one paragraph in which you acknowledge that you've read the theme announcement and that you know what the theme is, and start thinking about debates and start thinking about how you feel about a topic, and just really helping you sit back and think about what you're going to write about. And there really are no right or wrong answers here. This is all for everybody to just get together and say, hey, class, this is what I think of the theme, and this is how I think it'd be cool to approach it, and everybody else saying that. And then you responding to people, at least one other person, following these instructions. So you'd make your main post here at the reply bar right underneath of that. And then when you reply to people, you go to the bottom of their post. I don't want to get into any students' posts. Wow, Joe. Nice. Okay. Whoa. And then you hit reply right there to reply to a classmate. You wouldn't reply to your instructor here unless maybe if you have a question or whatever, but say that this is your classmate Mary's post. You'd hit like that to reply to her. Does that help, Rachel? Does anybody have any other
Yes,
questions?
this was great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. I know that these are the little things that trip students up at first. And then when you're ready to do your assignment's down here, and you have the template, which is basically the worksheet that you write your answers on. But you also have a full example. So this one is an example of a student who filled out that worksheet. Actually an instructor, but it's supposed to be an example for you as a student. So these are all answered in this one. Have that open when you're doing it. Yeah, Chris, that's a great question. When you early in the term, when you're discussing and brainstorming for your ideas and thinking about your topic, it's assumed that it's tentative and that you're just trying out a bunch of stuff and seeing what the best is. So usually up until week 3. Okay, I think that said Brianna. Thank you for being here. Enjoy your AP class. So week 3 is when you do the annotated bibliography, and that means that you're doing um, a lot of research and really digging into those sources and how they're going to work. So it just makes sense that by then you're going to want to really have a handle on what your topic is. But up until that point, weeks 1 and 2 are all about finding out, making changes if you need to, that sort of thing. So you do have a couple weeks to feel like you have your topic ready. And that helps a lot, I know. And, understand that everybody who's posting in week 1 discussion is probably just as unsure as you are. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of, um, it's going to be a lot of people who are just trying to do their best. Okay.
Thank you. I lost sleep over this last night.
Oh dear. Hey, I'm really sorry and I feel for you and my heart hurts for you, but Chris too, I lose sleep over stuff like this too. Obviously, not this because this isn't my worry where it is yours, but stuff that I worry about at work and stuff. Oh man, it's horrible. I'll be up at 3 a.m. emailing myself stuff to remember, or just thinking about how am I going to do this? What's it going to do? Chris, so many people feel like they suck at English composition, and we try to make that's why we try to make our English classes a little bit more friendly and accessible. You guys won't see all of these. A lot of instructors load their announcements, but they're set to not show until that week. All you guys will see is the week 1 stuff that your instructor has loaded. Um, there's a standard book ordering information thing here that's posted by the university, not by your instructor, so it's always there. Your instructor has to post all this stuff. Um, where do we find the debate topics? That's what I'm doing. It is in an announcement, and it is your, where did he put it? Let me start again. I'm not looking right. I saw it already. I just went by it. I saw it. It was a theme announcement. There it is. Why was that so hard? May 2022 theme. And we have a new theme every session to like reduce plagiarism, but also to keep it fresh and stuff. And so here's the theme announcement. It just tells you that the May 2022 theme is an argument surrounding the digital remote business environment. Sources must be no older than 2020. Thesis must be arguable. So that's what, this is a general that you'll always see. And then there are some possible topic ideas that to help your brain, start thinking about stuff like viruses, phishing, malware, like Generation Z and the digital world, like social media and employees and the debate around that, interviewing applicants, tracking work time, all the different things that have to do with the digital world. And so if you're feeling like, oh man, I don't have any topic for that, if you read through these, you'll get a whole bunch of little ding, ding, dings in your head. And it may not be that one of these is what you want to write about, but it'll have you going, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. So now I'm thinking about this topic that I'm interested in, that maybe not be one of these, but that is, related in some way. So it kind of helps you because these possible topics are presented as an argument surrounding a specific argument related. And so that kind of guides you so you don't end up, early in the term coming up with topics that aren't argumentative. And that's not disaster either. It happens. You'll just, be asked to shift your focus a little bit if you didn't quite get, the argument. But I think that the most important thing is that when you have your topic and your stance, like where you stand on the issue, other educated professionals must be able to reasonably oppose your thesis for it to actually be an argument, right? An argument has counter arguments. Yes, Chris. And the thing is that you'll be running it by, your instructor in the discussion and in the assignment. Other people will be looking at it. You can look at other people's too. So like the week one discussion board is going to be this times 5, right? You're going to get to see all these other ideas too. And um, one, it is broad, and we do that on purpose so that you don't have to be constrained to. We like to give examples because that really helps your brain, and you may like one of those examples and go with it, but it's also broad so that if you don't like any of these and you have a really good idea for something else related to it, an argument surrounding the digital remote business environment, then you can go with that if it works. So the biggest mistake I see students making with this is that they try to make a stance or write a thesis for an argument paper that to them sounds argumentative, but isn't because other reasonable people would not disagree. So a thesis statement like all children deserve to have food and a warm home. That sounds like an argument, but really it's a premise, right? Pretty much everybody agrees with that. And if they don't, they're not any credible person that's going to make an opposing viewpoint credible, right? So if the premise is that, and I'm not going by our theme, I'm just trying to give an example. If the premise is that all children deserve food and a warm home, so what, right? Then you would go to finding an argument that others could disagree with. And that's a good one because a lot of people feel that, homeless and hungry children should be taken care of in one way, and a lot of people feel they should be taken care of in another way. A lot of Many people feel that the government should take care of its people, including the little children. Some people don't. Some people say, too bad, that's the parents. So you want to find something that you know has opposing viewpoints. Coming up and posting a topic that's too similar to another student's. Nope, Chris. You don't have to. There will be a lot of similar topics, and they're approached in many different ways. For example, if I were using the theme of poverty and child hunger was my focus, there could be 5 people in my class writing about solving child hunger, and we'd probably all 5 be using different sources, taking different angles and building it. So you will often, because a lot of students do want to take advantage of one of these given topics, and then you'll end up with multiple people doing the same topic. It's just, everybody knows, everybody does their own research and creates their own logic and draws up their own, paper. So it only becomes a problem if, we start to see somebody like copying you or something. And of course, I said copying you because I would never put you in the position of being the copier. Oh, I do want to look really quickly at the library guides to help people out who can't get to the library one way, for one thing. There's always a librarian chat, so if you're in there and you can't find anything, man, that's helpful. Our amazing librarian makes really good videos, Carlene, at a library orientation to general education. Okay, let me look. Um, where's my chat? Chat. Shoot. Okay, I'll get in the chat in 1 second. But yeah, here's where there's really good videos, and then this should take you, that's citing. Yeah, so now you're in the library, basically. It tells you about citing, but you're in the library. So there you go. If the resources is given you fits, you can get to it through the library guides on the left. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing because for some reason I can't see the chat if I am. Okay. I think the question got lost in the chat, but someone asked if we were having another meeting like this next week. Oh, it depends on your instructor. I don't. I just do the first week meet and greet to orient everyone. Um, and then your individual instructor will post announcements if they're doing other chats. They aren't required to, so it's just instructor to instructor. However, please reach out to your instructor if you have questions or need anything like this. The questions that you've been posting here and the things that I've been clarifying for you here, go to your instructor, even if they're not having chats. You can talk to them via email, via the in-class messaging system, and in the questions and answers. It's probably somebody maybe late time zone. So you can ask your instructor personally if they do it, but they will also probably have already noted if they do. And they may make videos without it being live that are helpful. So it's just instructor to instructor. And that's really why I'm here, is to make sure that all students get this live time to ask questions and all that. So thanks for reminding me of that question, Chris. I appreciate it. Are there any other questions right now? Okay, this is an order. I want you guys all to go to bed at a decent hour tonight and sleep like babies. Take deep breaths and don't worry. Everything's going to be great. Um,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Usually the sign-in
Thank you
bar,
very
if you,
much.
yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. D Schultz at chamberlain.edu. I'm not your instructor, but you can come to me if you want. Darcy Schultz. Um, when I go into the library, it says that to me too, and all I do is click that sign in button, and it doesn't even take me to a sign in. It just refreshes the page, and now I'm signed in if I'm already signed in from like my class or something like that. So from my perspective, that sign in button, it might make a difference, but it doesn't make me enter anything when I click on it. I hear you. Who said that? Chris. Yeah. Yep. Well, just relax because, you know, this class might, it seems complicated, but it's really not. Just go ahead and, um, Valerie, are you entering your credentials? Like, are you entering your sign-in information on the sign-in page and it's still not? You're very welcome, Chris. Oh, good. Tasya, um, you did use your credential, your email to sign in. Okay. Well, Valerie, try that. And then contact tech support if you're still. Oh, so yeah, you need your email address. It'd be your Chamberlain email. And you can, if nobody sent that to you yet, yeah. Um, yeah. See, because it usually is first last at mychamberlain.edu, but because, so many people having the same names, um, if we have another Valerie Ochoa or Ochoa, which is very likely because your first and last name are both really common, Valerie, it might not be the right. Good, Chris. Cool
So
beans.
someone asked if the this presentation will be posted somewhere where we could reference to. Will it be?
Yes, I am sending this to all of your instructors and they will be required to post it. So it may be, depending on what they're doing and stuff, it'll no later than tomorrow, but very likely yet today. And you'll be able to watch this video whenever you want. And you can, it's nice. I love having a video when I'm a learner because I can just like skip through the opening part and go straight to, for example, how to make a discussion post, just use the little
Mm-hmm.
bar to scroll right to that if the important info. So,
Great, thank you.
yes, it's my pleasure. Um, so yeah, if you go to library guides in the left menu of the classroom, that'll work. And also, if you don't know your Chamberlain email, whether or not that works for you to log into the library, you should figure it out. So I would I'd shoot your advisor an email, or I would um, maybe contact tech support and say, I need to know what my Chamberlain email is. Because it's not always the same. Like I'm D Schultz, but I was the first one. So now there's like D Schultz 2, and there's like so many students have similar names. So, okay, anything else? And with any tech issue, really, really, yeah, that's true, Chris. Because your personal email, it might work if that's what you're registered under and they haven't like officially given you. Okay, good, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, you might have to use your personal for now or even forever if that's what you ended up getting everything registered under. Tech support is so helpful, the student tech support. Um, Anytime you run into problems, don't hesitate to call them. I call them a lot. So, yeah, it's important too because you do get notifications from your class when a new announcement is posted. Depending on what you choose, you can manipulate your notifications. You can go in there. I can't remember exactly where it is. Maybe you go to my account or something like that. And you can decide if you want like every single discussion post to notify you via email, or if you just want an assignment due to notify you by email and stuff like that. So that's kind of advanced. I usually don't even tell students about that, but since we're talking about it, if you want to, try to check it out and figure it out, you can. I manipulate mine so I get what I know I need to have notified by, because I don't need notified to everything, and you probably don't either. Okay, under settings, push notifications, and then you filter them. Chris, you have been such a huge help. Settings, push notifications, and filter. Well, that's what we're here for, right? We all have knowledge gaps and there's people to fill them. So, what's going to work? Teamwork. Yeah, it's really nice when you've had Canvas in high school. And it's so different for people who have never been in Canvas before. So different. It's like getting plopped right down in the middle of a country halfway around the world where you have no clue what even language people are speaking or anything. That's how confusing it is to adult learners who go into Canvas. Yeah, we tend to use like Teams for meetings for faculty, but at Chamberlain, only faculty and administration. Oh, yeah, Zoom is awful for large classes. Yeah. That's why, WebEx is kind of a dinosaur, but we still use it a lot because nothing really beats it for having big meetings and recording. So, yeah. Okay, well, if nobody else has questions, I'm going to let you go. I have English 117 people in less than 45 minutes. So, yeah, we do a lot in teams at the instructor and admin level. Thank you guys for being here. So glad to have such a good turnout and to have so many great questions. And the fact that I wasn't the only person helping here, that we had multiple people helping everybody. So, and yeah, Michelle, your student gave you a shout out if you're listening. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys. Going to end the recording and close the meeting.